Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's a pleasure and honor for us to be here. I'd like to thank Crescent Ratings. I'd like to thank our audience for joining in this summit, Halal in Travel Global Summit hosted by Crescent Ratings. And our topic for this session is From Tourism to Finance, Growth and Opportunities in the Islamic Economy. My name is Rushdi Siddiqui. I have a colorful history in terms of professional. Most recent is CEO, co-founder of iPortal Live. But this is more about my esteemed speakers than myself. Let me sort of tell you what the objectives of today's session are, what the format is, and then I'll introduce the speakers and then we can get going. So in the 40 minutes, we've got a number of objectives that we want to address. One is the awareness of the verticals of the Islamic economy, building linkages between and amongst the verticals of the Islamic economy, where the common denominators, Islamic values and lifestyles, and Islamic finance, because it gets a lot of airplay, to deploy its liquidity into the real economy lifestyle verticals to reduce its own concentration risk and provide capital that grows the Islamic economy so that we reach the actual and provides an alternative to the conventional counterpart offerings. That's sort of the objectives that inshallah, we'll try to achieve. The format is I'll introduce the speakers. They have 1 or 2 minutes to make the opening remarks. Then we've got questions, and these are challenging questions because we've got experts in my view and in my experience with them. And then obviously the audience can submit their questions in the chat room, and those who view it later can email the questions to us. And then towards the end, we'll have 1 to 2 minute closing remarks, and then we've completed this most important sessions. So briefly, to introduce my 2 panelists. First is Brother Afdhal Aliasar. In looking at his bio, there's certain things that stood out to me, and I'd like to share that with you. One is he's an Islamic philanthropist. Exciting. This is important to have that optic in this particular space. He's the director of the halal industry at KNEKS, which is the national National Committee for the Islamic Economy and Finance for the Republic of Indonesia. His rich experience in the financial sector included Bank Niaga, Citibank, Nomura, Asia, ex-Japan, and a productive waqf scheme applied to halal business assets. Extremely exciting. So welcome, Brother Afdhal. And our second speaker is a dear friend and a colleague, Brother Rafiuddin Shikoh. He doesn't really like to talk about himself, and his work talks about him. So extremely proud to have known him for such a long time. He's one of these people who have been grinding it out and raising the bar in the quality of research and studies and surveys in the Islamic economy space. DinarStandard.com is the standard for this particular area. He's the father and the mother of the Global Islamic Economy report. Other reports included Islamic FinTech, Minasa e-commerce landscape, refugees, the most in need for zakat funds, digital Islamic economy, and the list is on, and a lot of these reports are available with respect to DinarStandards.com. So I've basically showcased how we're going to do this. So in the interest of our speakers, let me start off with Brother Afdhal. If you can just give us a 1 to 2 minute overview of the things that you see in this space and some of the things that you'd like to speak about, please.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Rushdi and Brother Rafi. Thank you for the Crescent Rating to invite me in these sessions. I want to start our discussion what happened in Indonesia in the last 4 years. We just made many improvements because our governments realized that how to improve the Islamic finance, not just only do the acceleration for the Islamic bank or Islamic financial institutions, but we need to focus to have a very good development of the Islamic economy, which is Islamic economy will create many transactions, including in the travel, including the halal product, modest fashions, pharmaceutical, education, and others. This is very important because with the very good foundation for the Islamic economy, Indonesia will achieve the increase of the activities for the payment itself. So the Islamic finance in Indonesia now is become very. They're moving not only from the moving to the mainstream. Actually, we saw the recent development in Indonesia, the merger of the three Sharia bank to become one big Sharia bank, Bank Syariah Indonesia, is a very milestone for Indonesia, Islamic economy, also Islamic finance development. Now we can see one of the Sharia is one of the top 10 bank in Indonesia. So with these conditions, our Indonesia market will get more benefit with the new technology coming with the very good institutions and also the good manpower and recent development and digitalizations. I think will improve many aspects, not only for the Islamic finance itself, but also how people use the Islamic finance, Islamic product as a part of their daily life. So the halal lifestyle will increase definitely with this recent developments.
Okay, thank you, brother. So, Brother Rafi, as I mentioned in my brief intro about you, you have mapped the Islamic economy verticals, but for many who are newcomers and for those who want to know more, if you could basically share with us what these verticals are, why they are important. So please. Rafiuddin.
Yeah. Thank you, Brother Rushdi, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to all. My first gratitude to our colleagues at Crescent Rating for organizing this gathering in a time when we're hungry for connecting and being together. Having these forums are very valuable, and to connect with colleagues such as yourselves as well. So great to see you too as well, Brother Rushdi and Afdhal. It's been a while. So to begin, as Brother Rushdi, you put the question forward, in terms of a background context, I think more than ever, this space, as we all are now calling the Islamic economy, is a great mix of the financial services as a core, i.e. with Islamic finance, and the key real economy sectors that are linked directly to under the umbrella of Islamic economy, led by the food and agriculture sector and the other product sectors such as pharmaceuticals, cosmetics. But a focus that we want to do today, these other real economy sectors include services sectors and the lifestyle sectors of travel, tourism, digital economy, media, recreation. And so collectively, to answer your question, that's the context. And the reason why these are interconnected, because these are all core sectors whose core products and services are affected by some aspects of Sharia law or Islamic tradition. And that's how we frame, and we've covered these sectors as part of the quote-unquote Islamic lifestyle economy. Obviously, a lot of people think of Islamic economy as the economies of the Muslim countries, or Muslim majority countries. So that's also a certain wider context, or purely from an academic point of view. But our purview here and our coverage is these sectors that we're are referring to in terms of the Islamic lifestyle economy, that are sectors whose products are affected by Islamic law. So I don't know if that's a good, if that sets the stage, Brother Rushdi, or to the question you had.
It does. I mean, the answer is vast. It can be a conference in itself on the sector. So you've done a great job in summarizing it and linking it and the importance of it. And that's wonderful. So thank you. So the follow-up question is about the boogeyman in the room, which is the COVID-19 crisis and how it's impacted economies and obviously the Islamic economy. Brother Afdhal, with respect to the good work that KNEKS is doing in Indonesia, how have you pivoted, changed plans, extended timelines with respect to building out the Islamic economy verticals in light of the COVID impact on the economy?
Yes. As we know, the COVID came with many consequences. The very good example for us, for Indonesia, is when the supply chain for the halal product have a problem. So usually we can get many halal product imported from others country coming to Indonesia, because Indonesia is the biggest market for the halal product in the world. So when the supply chain has a problem, so our local industrial player, they are aware that we need to strengthen our local capacity. We need to get more raw material from Indonesia. We need to produce our own halal product. We need to sell our own halal product to our people in Indonesia. So this is the very good time for the new industrial player. We need to improve the business environment in Indonesia so they can produce the substitution for the import product. I think there's I can see the benefit from COVID from this aspect, actually, Brother Rushdi.
Thank you. That is very insightful, especially on the supply chain. So at one level, the pandemic has faster tracked plans, especially moving online, understanding supply chain. Brother Rafi, same theme, but different question. You have a crystal ball that's clearer than most of us. We want to know what the new normal may look like for the Islamic economy. How much of it will be digital only? How much will be hybrid? How much will be so on and so forth? If you could share with us the importance of internet penetration for the new normal, for the Islamic economy to keep humming.
Great, and I'll link it also to Brother Afdhal's point in terms of Indonesia's experience, and Brother Afdhal's highlighting the point about the supply chain disruptions worldwide when it comes to halal trade. And I'll add an interesting data point to that, which is when you look at the top 5 halal product exporters, which is led by US, France, Russia, Brazil, and I believe India. Interestingly, these are the top 5 COVID hit countries as well. So here is another fact that shows the real challenge to the supply chain. And in this disruption, which is real, and hence, as you may have observed, a lot of the OIC member countries, the issue of food security and supply chain has become now a key area of concern. And the governments and the policymakers are seeing this as also a silver lining, as Brother Afdhal said rightly, whereby there's a global trend of near supply, or looking for alternative supply chains that are near to you. And so nearshoring, as we know, is now a term in the trade sphere that's being evaluated from ensuring supply chain. And this is certainly true for the halal products space as well, and creating opportunities for governments to mobilize domestic production or create new sources of supplies in the region. And so this is really has galvanized a lot of interest across the key OIC countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Indonesia, some of the even developed economies like Turkey, Indonesia, Malaysia, in Africa as well. So I think just to kind of first highlight the point about the impact of this disruption on the supply chain as a silver lining for the Islamic economy as well. Now, as we can imagine, this COVID-19 experience has humbled us all, right? And I think as believing people or faith-based people, we realize the humility of and the our limitations in as you said, if I have a crystal ball, I don't think anyone has a crystal ball on what will happen tomorrow. I think this COVID experience has really shaken our if I can say our arrogance of being able to predict everything or controlling everything. Nevertheless, alhamdulillah, we have a lot in our control, and we do what we can best, and with our reliance on God. But one of the things that we have in terms of the impact of the COVID-19, the big headline is how the digital transformation point, which you were touching on. I think digital acceleration has been not just for Islamic economy, it's a global theme. The experience of COVID-19 has made governments and industries and companies as well realize the importance of resilience, building resilience in our systems, and building resilience in our business models, building resilience in our economic supply, our economic flow, and the flow of job creation, so forth. So I think the big question now that is being looked at, and if I touch on the tourism point of view, is, and we all know tourism was the worst hit amongst the Islamic economy sectors, right? The worst hit by huge magnitude. So I think building resilience across the Islamic economy ecosystem to support tourism, because tourism is an anchor to jobs. The knock-on effect of tourism in the economy is not just direct, but the indirect effect has a tremendous impact. So the confluence of digital transformation, which has been enabled by COVID, certainly is affecting Islamic economy sectors, and the opportunity of that is stronger within the lifestyle sector space, the services space. So when we think about media and recreation, the adoption, as we all know, of online gaming, online entertainment, digital entertainment, use of online media has gone up, and I think herein lies another big opportunity area for the Islamic lifestyle sector space. Tourism is still tough, right? I think it's a really tough, with all the pivoting, and it's still limited. However, one of the silver linings has been domestic tourism, right? So I think we see domestic tourism within Saudi Arabia, with its general strategy booming, within Indonesia, within Turkey, Pakistan, and others who are really, and in most countries, I think. So I think the connectivity points across these, with the linkage to digital, the behavioral change around digital transformation, the opportunities around lifestyle sectors, as I said, media, recreation, as well as the opportunity from a supply chain. I think those would be some of the highlights I'd like to throw out. Yeah.
Actually, I agree with Brother Rafi. Brother Rushdi. Domestic tourism now is very important, especially for Indonesia, because right, when the people come from international have a problem to come to Indonesia, so the tourism sector in Indonesia now focus for the domestic tourism. They need to understand how to serve the local tourists. They need to understand how to prepare the halal food, to prepare what they want. For example, like modest fashions, also the creative economy. that's increased also is in Indonesia because of this conditions. I think that's the one that I want to add. Yeah.
Thank you for that additional color. I want to stick a little bit on the domestic tourism because within domestic tourism, you still have travel restrictions from state to state in certain countries in Southeast Asia. So as we focus in on domestic tourism and the headwinds of travel restrictions, that obviously prevents the robustness of focus to be diluted. So the areas of virtual tourism. So we keep people interested that once things go back to normal, that virtual tourism becomes actual tourism. Brother Afdhal, Indonesia is a vast country. I believe 17,000 islands, 250 million people. It is the China play for the Islamic economy, for lack of a better phrase. So as the COVID-19 continues and starts abating, can you talk to us a little bit about what KNEKS is thinking with respect to domestic tourism? Have you thought more about virtual tourism and how we keep people interested, because it's about jobs, as Brother Rafi had mentioned? So to you, please.
Yeah. Because of domestic tourism, people want to have very good experience actually about Indonesia. I think what government do now, they just try to increase the internet penetrations, the digitalizations in our tourism sector, how our can digitalize our destinations. Many area in Indonesia with the very beautiful views, with the very rich of the culture, we need to convert this into digital contents. That's what we call that creative economy. So people in everywhere, not only just Indonesia, but even in other countries, can enjoy the experience when they see Indonesia, the beautiful country, and all the very good culture. I think that's the how to improve here, to transform what we have actually this time to become digitalized and very good content, just spread to the other world. I think that's the things that we need to do.
Okay, thank you. Rafi, I want to pivot the conversation a little bit, and this is right within the work that you do. Islamic finance gets a lot of airplay from media, from conferences, from seminars, from non-Muslim countries who are interested in tapping that Islamic liquidity. But Islamic finance also has an element of a concentration risk on real estate and the price of oil at one level. So as it looks to other compliant sectors to deploy its liquidity, and these compliant sectors wanting to absorb some liquidity for its growth, areas like halal tourism would seem natural for Islamic finance to look into for funding, for example, halal hotels, Sharia compliant hotels. Then you've got the takaful for takaful coverage. If you could share with us how you see Islamic finance reducing concentration risk by starting to look at other sectors, and is tourism one of the top priorities for Islamic finance from the research that you've done?
Thank you, Brother Rushdi. Again, it just reminds me of a phrase that you have coined as one of the early pioneers in this space, which is the twins separated at birth, right? So that's the phrase you had used of popular that really, I think, remains to be true in, I think, your view perhaps, which is Islamic finance and this other halal economy sectors have never really engaged at a level that they should, and that they're meant to be, and then the underlying customer base is the same. So why not a closer engagement, and operationally, as you said, there's a concentration risk, and Islamic finance in many markets are looking for growth areas, and in countries where such as even Indonesia, with the largest Muslim population, the largest importer of halal products, and various consumer sectors, still Islamic finance is small, right? Brother Afdhal, I think we can debate, but I think roughly 10% is maybe the penetration, and similar picture in many of the other OIC countries. So why hasn't this linkage happened? And I think that there's some practical realities to that, which is, first of all, in our ambition to make this point that there is this natural connectivity, but the pragmatic, practical wall we hit is the risk profile that the Islamic financial institutions have versus the risk profile of these Islamic, the real economy sectors. However, I will say, Brother Rushdi, that now we realize as DinarStandard that actually Islamic finance is engaged in those sectors, but not at the early stage level of these ventures. So if you really look at the okay, so if we question, all right, how much of Islamic finance is being deployed to the food industry in terms of financing and so forth, they'll say, well, we have a whole, we have Islamic financing, we'll have food industry clients, some of the bigger conglomerates or the bigger companies. So when we look at the full picture, they are indeed. So when you say hotels or resorts, so that is a real estate. Ultimately, a real estate proposition. It could be any hotel, it could be a commercial real estate, and they are engaged in it. So they'll have a lot of properties. If it happens to be a Sharia compliant hotel, even better. But their Sharia compliance will ensure their commercial real estate investments are in the Sharia compliant category. So I think they would say, well, that's covered there. Or in the food industry, they'll have the bigger groups, Savola groups, or Al Marais, or in Indonesia, Indo Foods, or the other at that level, or Ulker and Yildiz, so forth, who are having sukuk issuances here and there, or Islamic finance. So I think when we really look at the book of business for Islamic banks and their connectivity, my sense is there is engagement, there's significant engagement, but not with the innovative new solutions that are coming online. So, which is the nature of our Islamic financial institutions currently, which are very risk averse. So I think it's more that than anything else is my realization so far, and it may not be completely true either, but yeah, that's just true.
I think those are good insights, because now we've got something to ponder about. Brother Afdhal, Indonesia is a country with a massive amount of SMEs and micro SMEs. And one of KNEKS' mandate is basically, how do we include them digitally? So we have Bank Syariah Indonesia with this consolidation taking place. KNEKS' view on SMEs, because it's about jobs, it's supporting the economy, about taxes, so on and so forth. Can you share with us KNEKS' vision for the SMEs and micro SMEs in the Islamic economy verticals? How do we grow them? How does Islamic finance liquidity get tapped by these micro SMEs?
Okay. Actually, how big the SME in Indonesia is about more than 60 million SME in Indonesia. It's a very huge economy, actually. So we want this SME, when they produce the halal product, we want them to connect with what we call the global chain of the halal product. So how SME can support the medium or even the corporate level industry. So the linkage that we want to create, right? When Indonesia become very good for the consumer product, the awareness of the halal is spread around the people. So if we look at the big company in Indonesia, for example, like multinational company who produce halal foods, halal not only just for the Muslim, because of Muslim need the halal product, but they put halal as a part of their business risks, as their business reputations. So as the big product producers, they just only produce the halal product. So that's why this concept, we want to all the SME to connect with all the big industry. So the global change will linkage. So the SME, we need to increase the quality of the product. We need to increase the capacity of the SME actually, and also we need to increase the continuity of the productions. So when the supply chains, when the global value chains can have a bridge from the SME to the middle industry to the big corporate, I think that we can bring up our SME from the bottom level, move up to become the good economy of Indonesia. That's the KNEKS will do.
Okay, thank you, brother.
Itself,
in the remaining time, I'd like us to focus on the tourism in light of the theme of Crescent Ratings Global Summit. So, Brother Rafi, you know, one of the myths that many have about Muslims, that it's monolithic. They don't take into account cultural nuances of Indonesia, Turkey, Saudi, Nigeria, so on and so forth. So if we focus on halal tourism, Muslim tourism, however we ascribe to it, it's utterly unfair to say that Muslim tourism is monolithic. So what works in Indonesia will work in Istanbul. If you could share with us your observations from research with respect to this particular space, that it has to be customized, and what does that mean? Rafi, you're on mute.
And we're talking about outbound tourism now, not domestic tourism, right?
That is correct.
Yes, so as you've highlighted, obviously, the Muslim outbound tourism market is huge. At the same time, it's quite diverse, you know, with varying needs. And yes, there is a common thread of underlying values or traditions that link the requirements for tourism to different degrees and different levels. But nevertheless, as you said, there's also socioeconomic differences as well. So travelers from GCC versus travelers from Indonesia or Pakistan or Nigeria, etc., also have very different socioeconomic profiles, even if they might have common faith-based or tradition-based requirements. So, it is important to factor all of these things, and usually most marketers, tourism marketers, or destinations or destination management organizations, they know and they recognize and they realize that. However, everyone is also looking at this Muslim travel market, the halal travel market, as a grouping of opportunity that needs to be tapped into. And as we know, European countries such as Spain, of course, UK, or even you know, North America. If we look at even Americas, the Muslim tourist is being targeted, just as any affinity marketing or market segmentation is. And so our work in this space certainly has been one of the key things is to classify and understand the different segmented profile. There's also the very fascinating development around the generational shift in habits of tourism, especially as we look at the young millennial and the Gen Zs that are coming up, who are increasingly, we are living in a digital world. that people are already connected to each other and are familiar with various destinations, and the profile of these Muslim tourists is much more active. And I think that's a very interesting area from a tourism point of view to address the Western Muslim travelers, young travelers, Turkish Muslim travelers, Indonesian young Muslim travelers, the travelers from the GCC. This is an exciting segment, the young demographic segment. And they are the consumers of digital media, and you, Rushdi, you referred to virtual tourism. So using all the tools, the digital tools, to enable their experiences or their decision making is key. So.
Okay, thank you. Comprehensive and holistic, and I think that's the proper way to look at this. Brother Afdhal, we've got a few minutes left, and we're at the point of your concluding remarks. If you could share with us what the new normal for Indonesia, for the Islamic economy, could look like, and what message you want to tell investors, those who want to purchase halal products from Indonesia. What is your message to them?
Yeah, Indonesia, because of this COVID, we can see the disruption for the supply chains, and the very good things, we realize our capacity, our populations have very good, and now we have a lot of SME. We have a very good producer for the halal products. So in the future, we want to build a very strong ecosystem in Indonesia for the halal economy. So we want to start what we call it Muslim Center of Excellence. So the global investor can see, they will learn how Indonesia produce the halal product, what the preference for the halal product from Indonesia consumer, and how to improve these productions to supply not only for Indonesia market, but also to others country. I think to become the center of excellence, that's the things that need to think by the investor. I think Indonesia, this is the best for the investment in the future.
Okay, fantastic. Center of Excellence. Wonderful tagline. Rafi, Brother Rafi, you've got the final word. What is the new normal for the Islamic economy going to look like? Is it going to be mostly digital, hybrid? Please. Brother Rafi, you're on mute.
My two words would be enabling resilience and certainly digital in its driver, in its growth drivers, and so forth. So, to keep it short and simple.
Fantastic. Listen, gentlemen, thank you very, very much for taking time out from your busy schedules. And it's evening and nighttime in Dubai and Indonesia, respectively. I'd like to thank our audience and encourage them for submitting questions to our esteemed speakers. It's been a pleasure and honor to been involved in this event, and obviously we look forward for a promising and optimistic new normal. So thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam warahmatullahi. Thank you, Brother Rafi.
Thank you all. Thank you both so much.